Arizona State put an absolute pounding on Kansas State. Now, pretty much all of that came in the first half, right? Where Samuel had like almost 300 passing yards in the first half alone. Uh,
Not much after.
not much after, right? I guess good job holding on to the lead. I mean, I guess if you're going to get nitpicky, right, like not keeping your foot on the gas in that second half, could cost you in some bigger games because you have a huge game. I mean, we talked about like Arizona State plus 1,700 to win the Big 12 when all they need is Kansas to basically beat BYU, and then they need to beat BYU. I I was I know I joked about taking it, and I'm like, man, I probably will, but I didn't, and I'm pissed. I'm pissed. I'm pissed. I took a shot in the dark taking Texas Tech plus 1,000, and I didn't even have the gonads to take Arizona State plus 1,700, like I said I would.
Well,
Unbelievable.
the frustrating thing too is like going back to that Cincinnati game. Like you had our guy Jeff Sims playing in that football game. His
And it
team
was
could be
still,
8-1.
yeah, yeah,
His team could.
legitimately.
I fully believe a healthy Sam Leavitt, who's been playing good football, very good football. I remember when he won. The reports are out of Arizona State, out of Tempe, where Jaden Rashada, he's losing the job or he's going to transfer. Like it was like, whoa, who is this Levitt guy? We know him from Michigan State. He did some okay things there as a freshman, but he has really turned a corner. I think the second half of the season, I think him and um, Scadaboo has been just awesome dynamically. Jordan Tyson, good to see him coming on and emerge as an alpha in that room. But I think you did what you needed to do. And against a team like Kansas State, that is going up early because Avery Johnson throwing the ball 40 times, DJ Giddens only having 14 carries is not the kind of outcome and the kind of plan that Kansas State wants to have. They want to be able to control clock, run the football, keep their entire offense, available to them, and they couldn't do that in the second half. And you saw the interceptions. Like Kansas State had a chance to kind of come back in the game. They missed a field goal, and then obviously the interception there at the end. But I don't know. I'm happy for Arizona State. I think this is really, really interesting. And the Big 12, to the surprise of nobody, it should be. At least if you've been watching the show, has been super entertaining, and it's going to be super entertaining down the stretch. So the
I mean,
Sun Devils, man, Coach of the Year. Dion will probably get it, but I think
I,
to
I,
me this is
they're plus
maybe more
350
impressive.
now to win the Big 12. By the way, plus 350. Last week they were plus 1,700. What was I doing? What was I doing? I literally said that I was going to take it, and I just did not. I did not do it. I'm so
They're
mad at
over.
myself. I think Kenny Dillingham should get it, honestly, over Dion. Well,
Their
if they
over under
beat
was four
BYU.
and a half. 4.5 was their over under. They're at 8
Mm-hmm.
wins. I know
Now,
Colorado's
to be fair,
and BYU's was over.
Colorado's was also at 5.5. So to
Yeah,
be
and
fair,
BYU's was at 4.5.
so yeah,
Crazy.
yeah, crazy, crazy. Yeah, it is an upside down Big 12 right now. And when I look at this too, like you mentioned the Cincinnati game, but also the Texas Tech game, dude. They had a chance to win that game. They did. I don't know. I think Arizona State. I don't know what the opening line is for that game. Let me look at it. They're probably BYU's probably favored because it's in Provo, I believe, right?
No, I don't know. I'll check on that right now.
Let me
But
check it real quick. Oh no, Arizona State's at home and they're favored by 3.5. What was I doing?
above a field goal, above a field goal. Okay.
What was I thinking? Not taking Arizona State at plus 1,700 last week when we both believed that Kansas was going to be BYU, and we'll get to that game. Although maybe they shouldn't have, but we'll get to that game. Oh, I'm so mad at myself. I'm so mad at myself.
I do want to ask you this though. For Kansas State, switching to them, they were in a spot where they were what 7-1, with the only loss to BYU, who at the time was a top 10 football team, and they go and they lose to Houston in Zion Chris, who just got kind of spanked by Arizona, and then they lose to Arizona State, by 10, jumping down early. Not that obviously we're not hitting the panic button at all, but I do think this season has been a frustrating one for fans there, you know, in terms of what's gone, like the expectations of Avery Johnson, and now you see Will Howard over at Ohio State doing good things, and it's got to be frustrating for sure because of the way the Big 12 is shaken out. Like, you're probably the most talented team that's like at the top, right? probably the best coach, one of the best coaching staffs, at the top there too. So why aren't you winning football games? What's going on there?
Well, I
It
mean,
could,
the Redshirt Sophomore was all over the. Well, I guess we weren't all over it, but when we pick win totals for every team, we were both on the under. I mean, for apparent reason. I mean, it's like there are holes on this team that just maybe weren't filled to the way that people thought that they were going to be filled, and we both thought. I think we were both high on Avery Johnson, regardless of like our feelings about the win total, right? Like, I think we were both high on him and what they were going to be able to do, but a change at offensive coordinator, right? Plus, Avery Johnson just not being very effective, throwing the football. You don't have a ton of weapons around Avery Johnson. Like, that is the reality. You still have a decent offensive line, but the reality is you don't have the. You lose guys like Kobe Savage and Will Lee on the defensive side of the football in that secondary to Oregon and Texas A&M. Like, there were holes to be had, and talent was lost, right? So I don't think it's all that is surprising to you and I on this show, but I think like it's disappointing for sure for Kansas State fans when you're looking at the teams that are at the top, BYU, Colorado, and Arizona State, and being like, in the first year without Oklahoma and Texas, and you go into the season basically as, I mean, were they not the odds-on favorite to win the Big 12 heading into the season?
yeah, them. I think it was Utah.
Oh yeah, it's Utah. Which both. I mean, talk about disappointing. I mean, holy cow.
I mean, you'd
And
rather
Iowa
be
State,
Kansas State than Utah right now, obviously, but
yeah. And the Iowa
it's
State was
just
up
more
there as well.
about how you started and how it kind of was going because BYU, that loss looked bad early, but then it was looking like a good loss, and you ended up still controlling your own destiny, basically. After Iowa State lost,
Yeah,
actually, it wouldn't have even mattered if they lost because you still play them at the end of the year. So it definitely frustrating, I think, for Kansas State fans. But it's been a wild year in the Big 12. The margins are small, right? I know they're one of the more talented teams, quote unquote, but you still have to play good football week in and week out, and that's hard to do.